Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Kovray, a couple that loves to play board games.
Together.
Or not.
What do you mean?
Solo games, maybe?
That's right, today we're going to take a look at a brand new solo game that's coming to Kickstarter. And it is called...
Legacy of You! Legacy of You is published by Garphill Games, it's designed by Shem Phillips, and the art is done by Sam Phillips.
Now just as a reminder, this is a prototype form that Garphill Games has sent to us for review. So everything you see within this video might be subject to change in the final production of the game. So keep an eye out on that Kickstarter page to learn more about the game. And you can click that link, it's down here. Go.
Check it out.
But maybe watch our video first.
Yeah.
To learn the Legacy of You.
Exactly.
Now during the reign of Emperor Yao, people in ancient China were plagued by floods. He assigned the task of remedying this whole situation to Gun, one of his officials. After 9 years of many attempts of dealing with the whole flood situation, Gun was not successful, and when he passed away, Yu took on the task. So in this game, you are Yu, who's trying to deal with the floods and barbarians who are just coming and trying to steal everything. Will you manage to win? Or will the flood just take over and then you'll just not impress the emperor and bring a lot of shame to your family? Rough. Let's give you a quick overview of how to play. You'll begin by setting up. As this is a campaign game, in your first game you'll prepare the victory and defeat cards. These will be drawn at the end of each game, whether you won or lost. You're now ready to set up for the game. You'll place the board in front of you, shuffle all the corresponding decks, placing 10 townsfolk cards in your ready position, and then the rest on the top row with one barbarian on the very right. You'll then prepare the canal, shuffling 3 face-down piles and dealing specific cards out in the corresponding spaces. You'll prepare the hut cards by placing 1 face down onto each of the 4 outlined spaces, and then place the 3 farms, 4 outposts, 4 huts in their correct position. You'll place the workers and resources in the supply nearby and have the storybook and story deck ready. You're now ready to play. Legacy of You is played over a series of rounds, and each round follows a structure. Harvest, take actions, return barge, suffer attacks, and refresh the card row. Now you'll continue through these phases round by round until you either win or lose the game. But before diving into them, let's go over a few key rules and key concepts. First, let's talk about worker colors. If an action requires a laborer, a white worker, then a white worker must be used. In other words, the white worker icon does not mean any worker. Likewise, if an action requires a specific colored worker, it must be that color. Now, constructed outposts can allow you to treat a color as a different color, which we'll learn about in a moment. The other aspect is destroying townsfolk cards. Now this will happen when building the canal through barbarian attacks or through getting any damage. You'll simply draw the top card of your ready pile and place it into the exhausted pile. Now if you're ever not able to do that and you have no cards in your ready or exhausted pile, you'll immediately lose the game to damage. Now another important concept is drawing from an empty ready pile. If you ever need to draw or destroy townsfolk cards from a ready pile while it's empty, you'll immediately shuffle your exhausted pile into your ready pile. While doing so, you'll move the canal 1 space over. If it ever hits a canal card or the right edge of the board, you'll lose the game. Now let's talk about each steps of the round. The harvesting gives you resources and workers and allows you to draw townsfolk cards in preparation for the round. During each harvest, you'll simply gain the items depicted by the harvest icon, which can be found on the main board or in the cards that you tuck underneath the board. And this will evolve over the game. Now once you've harvested, you're ready to take actions. You'll use the townfolk's card in your hand to take actions spending resources and workers. Now townfolk's cards have a number of uses. They can be played in your exhausted pile to get the items shown in the brown background. They can also be discarded in the discard pile, gaining the items shown in the brown background and the red background. And they can be tucked under the board, which will improve your harvest in future rounds. Lastly, you'll notice a food icon shown on the left of each card. You should ignore these icons until their usage is explained by the events revealed through the storybook. Now you can use workers and resources for a number of different actions. Let's go over them. First, we'll talk about building the canal. You can only do this once per round. You'll simply spend the workers and cowrie shells shown at the top of the canal card back to the main supply. You'll then move the barge off the board to signify that you've done this per this turn. You'll then remove the canal card from the board, placing it aside for now. Resolve the effects shown along the bottom of the card from left to right. You'll then return the canal card to the huts and canal section of the box unless the storybook entry specifies otherwise. Now another action you can take is attacking barbarians. You'll simply pay the provision underneath the barbarians, return the workers on the left side of the barbarian cards, and gain the rewards on the right side of the barbarian card. You'll place a defeated barbarian into the discard pile. Now you can also recruit or dismiss new townsfolk. You'll simply pay the provisions shown underneath, and you'll either recruit them, placing them in your exhausted pile, not gaining any rewards, or dismiss them, placing them in a discard pile and gaining the items shown in the brown background in the top left. Now another action you can take is constructing farms, outposts, and huts. You'll simply spend the required workers' clay and wood, and move the building you're constructing into any available building site and gain anything that you cover. As you build a canal, you'll obviously uncover more spots to place your buildings. And buildings give you various bonuses, including giving you more in the harvest, allowing flexibilities with your worker colors, or providing a new space where you can place your worker to gain different items and benefits. Now another action you can take is trading. You'll notice you can exchange your cowrie shells on the board for various things. And as you uncover more of the canal, you'll have more opportunities to use the trading action. Now, last action you can take is using huts. As discussed earlier, you can place workers from your supply onto hut spaces you've uncovered to gain the benefit below. The next step in the round is to return the barge if it's used. You'll simply put this back on the next card in the canal for the next round. You'll now suffer attacks. The barbarians attack. For each barbarian card on the bottom of the card, you'll resolve their effects. You'll either destroy one of your cards, drawing it from the top of your ready pile into the discard pile, or pay some combinations of workers or resources as a bribe. In doing so, you will not have to destroy a card. Now the last step of the round is to refresh the card row. If there's any townsfolk cards, you'll simply slide them to the left. You'll count how many barbarian cards need to be added. This is the sum of all the numbers on barbarian card icons found along the top shore of the river. Now, if required, you'll slide in your remaining barbarian cards to the left so there's enough spaces to the right for the new barbarian cards to be added, and then reveal the required number. In most cases, there'll be some empty gaps in the middle. You'll simply fill those with townsfolk's cards. And now you can begin the new round. You'll keep playing until you either win or lose the game. Now, there's only one way to win. You'll have to build the 6 sections of the canal and survive until the end of the round. But there's 3 ways you can lose. One is due to the flood. If the flood moves onto the unbuilt section of the canal or off the right side of the board, you'll lose. You can also lose to the barbarians if there's ever 7 barbarians along the top of the board. Or you'll lose to damage. If you ever need to destroy a townsfolk card but you have none left to destroy, you'll lose. Now whether you win or lose, you'll choose a corresponding card and read the entry from the storybook. You're now ready to begin the next game, and you'll continue your journey exploring the legacy of you until you either win or lose 7 times. Will you be able to deal with the floods?
Don't forget about the barbarians.
They're spooky. I don't like them.
They're dangerous.
Danger. Well, let's jump right into our 5 reasons why we think Legacy of You is great.
And why you should check it out.
Do you want to kick us off?
Yes, sure. Why not? First reason, I think, kind of obvious, but it is a solo game. So if you're a solo gamer, or you're looking into going into the solo gaming space, I think Legacy of You is pretty great. Particularly if you like Garphill games. I think it takes a lot of what Garphill games has, like in their multiplayer, like Paladins, like West Kingdom, North Kingdom, oh my goodness, and their newest games in the South. I think they take some of that and sprinkle it into this game, but really just focus in on that solo piece. A lot of the other games do have like solo modes, but there's no AI in this particularly, and it works quite well.
Yeah, because you're not playing against other people, you're playing against the game. It's specifically designed for solo.
Exactly.
I'm not typically a solo gamer, and I don't think you are either.
I'm not either.
So I think this was really interesting for us to dive into because it was such a wonderful experience.
Yep.
So even if you're looking to, you haven't played a lot of solo games before and you really like that crunchy element of a worker placement, resource management, some of the core mechanics we've seen in Garphill games, I think you'll really like Legacy of You.
Yeah, I think that also brings us to point number 2 that we would probably talk about is the mechanics of the game. So there's like a lot going on within the game. I think Ilya mentioned a couple where it's like resource management, what else did you say?
Worker
Sorry?
placement.
Worker placement. And then there's like flavors of deck building in the game. There's
Card
also
management.
Yeah, card management. There's also like an engine build that you can work towards. It feels like there's a lot going on, but the way that the game works is it just flows so smoothly, which is kind of ironic because you're trying to save yourself from this flood. And all
Well, the
these
canals
barbarians.
can flow smoothly.
Yeah.
You can divert the
Exactly.
water.
So like that's what I mean. It just like fits. But like a lot of those mechanics do shine through in the game, and they work very smoothly together. Where it may feel like, for example, your worker placements, there's only a certain number of spots, and you'll unlock more as you build more on your board. But there's a limited number that you can use per round. And using them is relatively important, but you also have to be able to manage that because maybe you need one of those workers to do something else.
Lots of tricky.
And that might not be part of the worker placement. It actually could be part of the resource management. And then that brings it in to, again, what I'm trying to say is that it just flows like really cohesively with all the mechanics that they've decided to put into this game.
And there's a good balance of like thinking ahead and acting, because I think there's a lot of decisions you can make, but all of them do, like Tyler said, flow. For me, who's typically very impulsive, there's a lot of times I have to be like, slow down. You can't spend all your workers and all your resources because you might need them for something else. You have to see everything that's happening because there's a lot of management of all the things that are going on. And I think that brings me to the next point, is this game is fairly complex.
Complex is an understatement.
Yeah, with a lot of the mechanics that are at play, but also a lot of games that you typically play, especially in a campaign form, they get tougher. And in Legacy of You, it starts off pretty tough. And then based on how you do, you might it might get a little bit easier if you lose a lot, or it might get a little bit more challenging. And there's no spoilers in this video, so we're not going to chat too much about the campaign. But I think that's the small element, is it does evolve over your time playing the game and adjust it. And it makes it really fun. Like I said, I lost this game. So I've lost 7 games. I've won 2 in my campaign. And I found it really challenging. Early on, I was just like, something is like not clicking, and it took me a lot of trial and error to see like what works and what doesn't. And I really like that in this game, because it does, sure, you may have lost, but there's elements that become unveiled if you lose, and then there's more of the story that grows, and it leaves you coming back. It's not a very defeating loss. So that part of it, I really enjoys the complexity of this game.
Well, it's a push forward game.
It is a push forward.
Regardless of if you win or lose, you have to go forward with the next round. Like it's not like you can restart or redo. I mean, you have the option to do that stuff, but it's not like it's
not designed for that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that that's just like a point that I'd probably mention is you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with losing, because there's not always going to be an opportunity that presents itself that's perfect and ideal for the situation that you're currently in. So with that said, the willingness to lose and push forward into the next round or next like campaign step is really vital, because you have to get all the way to the end. And who knows, you may have just like an unlucky draw in that particular phase, but like you can get super lucky later on, or you can set yourself up for something perfectly. It's just like one of those things that I think should be part of, and probably is part of a lot of solo games.
And I will say, every win that I've had in this game, whether through my campaign or before, was super close. And it's like one of those best wins where you win like just by a hair, and it feels very good, which I also really, really enjoy in games.
Yeah, well, and you got to think back, because I guess this brings us to point 4 now, is that it really is like this puzzle that you have to solve for yourself, and every time you do this puzzle, hopefully you're getting better, whether or not you're winning or losing, like getting different things that help you or maybe aren't so helpful, but there are these things that you have to build upon, solve, get better at, and work your way towards really understanding like what needs to happen when, how you can like do certain specific things based on the cards that you have, and also that you're doing it appropriately, because if you get too impulsive, you can miss the opportunity, and maybe there's too many barbarians, and then now you don't have any resources, for example, because you spent them on building one of the 3 buildings that they offer, right? So you have to be very self-aware of what's going on, and then also willing to be like, okay, let's take a step back and try and figure out what kind of way we can solve this without wasting all of the resources that I have in front of me. Because tracing it back is pretty tough.
It is. It really is. You can't really take steps back.
Yeah.
I think what this game really is a test of your adaptability, because each time you play, you get a new initial deck of your workers or your worker cards, not your actual workers.
Yeah, it's not a base deck.
I forget the name of the cards. I don't know why. But
Townsfolk.
Townsfolk, yeah. But based what those townsfolk cards are is how you'll really have to adapt to the game, because maybe you don't have a lot in the moment. They give you provisions. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're short in provisions and you're going to have to adapt and improvise. And how do you begin to get more provisions? Do you really build up and unlock certain buildings? So it's really adjusting to that initial deck and building an engine around it that really allows you to succeed forward, because it's always going to be close. The flood's right at your neck. The barbarians are attacking you. You never know what happens too with the campaign element of it.
Yeah.
And I think that brings us to our fifth point, is that there's a really cool campaign around it. It's a really replayable game that you'll play multiple times, and each of the gameplays, because of the way that it's built, is very different. There's a different story, but it's all centered around user experience. And that element of it is really, really cool to discover. Can't really say much more than that around it, but...
Yeah, the storybook provides a lot of different like ways to go about the game, and then like also on top of that, like you're never going to have, just because it's with cards, like you're never going to have that same starting hand. You're never going to have the same barbarians that come up all the time. So the game is going to always be and always feel different. The way that you unlock things, when you unlock them, even just losing certain games or winning certain games, like it's really, really dependent on how you draw those cards. And with the number of cards that are there, the variability is endless.
Yeah. And are the card numbers going to grow?
Who knows?
Are they going to decrease?
Who knows?
We don't know. Nobody knows. But that is our 5 reasons why
you should check out Legacy of You.
Well, we talked about some of the reasons you should check it out. Oh, I also forgot the board. One more reason. 6th reason. The insert in this game is one of the best inserts I think I've seen.
It does a good job, yeah.
Because you literally use the box as your like resource trace. It's so handy. There's visuals of where to put things. The card sorting is super clean. Yep. Really, really good insert. I'll just wanted to mention that because I'm a big fan.
Yep, that's fair.
But I guess some of the reasons why you shouldn't check this game out, or some of the, I guess, those elements. What do you think?
This game is hard. Like that's all I can. That's the one thing I will say about this game. I think that's the only critique I'll give it. Is it's hard. I'm fine with losing most of the time. It feels bad when it happens, but this one is like sometimes it feels like if I had one more resource I could have won. And obviously when you play through a game that takes like 45 to 60 minutes, like losing by a single resource feels really, really bad.
That happens a lot in this game.
Yeah, and it feels like it happens a lot. And maybe it's because I haven't played through the game a lot, but I guess like that would be the critique is like, I want to be able to go through the campaign successfully, not just like fail epically in the first few rounds to try and figure out what the game is. And I wouldn't say that like I'm... I feel like I pick up on these types of games pretty quickly, and I still found it difficult to like grab a win in at least the first round for sure. I think I did the first like scenario, I guess we'll call it. I did that one twice, and I lost both times. And the first time I was really close. The second time I don't think I was able to get there, but like it was really dependent on what I drew, what the barbarians came up, like the resources I was able to get, and it just
there's a lot of...
It felt unwinnable, but obviously, like, I know, like, I could think through it and see that there was pathways to win. It just felt bad.
There's a lot of optimal strategies you definitely have to take, and I think you have to, as you learn, you have to, there's that give and take of also discarding workers, right? And there's a lot of those kind of elements.
Yeah, it's so just, I think, I guess, like, like...
You have to be comfortable in that space.
Exactly, and you have to be willing to discover it and then, like, fail fast and move on. And some people don't like that. Yeah. So.
But overall, what did we think of Legacy of You?
It was a good experience for me, being like one of the first solo games I really, really dove into. I'm happy to play this more. I haven't finished my campaign, so we'll see how I do. Not looking so hot right now, but I've only done 3 scenarios, I think. Yeah. So hopefully I only have 6 more to go.
Victories from this end on.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that was one of the last points I was going to say, is it is really hard to share a copy. So I feel like, because it's, we had to kind of go back and forth, because remembering the cards and the history is just difficult. And as you pull stuff out, it's not easy. So if you're looking to share this with 2 people, probably get 2 copies, because it's much easier from
That's
that
true.
perspective.
Yeah, that is a good point. Or you can just like patiently wait. Like I just
we kind of traded on and off.
Yeah, and I did the first scenario twice, like I said. So like I didn't actually get through the campaign. I just let Ilya finish his.
Powered through.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I think what I'll say is I had an extremely good experience with this game. I think with a lot of solo games, I picked them up like, oh, this is fun. But this one I was like, no, I have to continue. And I think I've played all like 10, I played I think upwards of 12 games within a span of like 4-day period.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, I'm committed. I want to learn. I want to improve. I want to get better. And discover the story and the campaign element of it. And I had a really, really positive experience. Honestly, looking to play it again because I want to win the campaign. I think it was really devastating to lose by the end of it, because I was like, I was on such a good streak too, and then I lost a really, I won't get into it. But overall, really good experience.
Yeah, the game is challenging, and I appreciate that in a lot of games anyways, so this is something that I look forward to continuing to play.
But don't take it from us. Check out the Kickstarter page, learn a little bit more about the game, see if it's up your alley. And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer. We've deep dove into this game quite a bit, and we're happy to tell you anything more in the comments down below.
Exactly.
But do we have a question of the day today?
What's your favorite solo game? And why? That's
a great question, especially that now that we're looking, we've got a little bit of a taste of it.
Well, we'll see. I might just play this one. There's so many games out there. Like
I want to try some more solo games. So yeah, let us know in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed our video,
give us that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and hit that bell notification so you can get notified when we release new videos.
Yay.
But until next time, this is us. Well, this is me going to play the rest of the campaign.
That's fair.
Bye.